Okay, hello everyone. Thank you for joining us this evening. And all of you, welcome to AFLATA's 23rd edition of Learn for Change. Today I will be your host. My name is Keza Brenda, and I am currently the country director of AFLATAS Africa. Today we have a very special guest who's going to talk to us about a very interesting topic. But first, to introduce the guest to you, to everyone. Uh, so Mr. Isaac M. Supu is a volunteer and is also an entrepreneur, student in a student leader in Africa and compassionate youth leader in Liberia. He was born in Lofa, northmost portion of Liberia. He completed his secondary education from the Alexandria A. Andrews Academy in, sorry, I don't know how to say the name. It's Barga City, I guess, in Bong County, in the Republic of Liberia, where he served as president of the student governing council in 2017, representing the entire student body of the institution. Since high school days, Isaac has been involved in basic community development activities that brought pride to his country and community. He joined several clubs and headed many local and regional activities, as well as student projects as student and youth leader. Isaac holds a certificate in entrepreneurship and emerging economies from the Harvard Business School online. Isaac is an intern or ambassador at the Travel for Change Adventure. He is currently serving as the Vice President for International Affairs for Students Against Corruption, the SAC, in Africa. A students-led anti-corruption organization that is dedicated, that has dedicated time combating corruption and promoting integrity and accountability in Liberia as well as in the whole of Africa. His dream is to see a corrupt-free, free and accountable society where every child will have the opportunity to get quality education. Isaac is achieving this through advocacy and the initiation of anti-corruption and educational related programs and partnerships. Over the years, he had demonstrated high academic performances, outstanding works in his community and the civil society sector, both in Liberia and the whole of Africa. Prior to his departure from Liberia for studies in Rwanda, Isaac served as the country representative to Liberia for the African Youth for Development Commission, the AYDC, and also served the co-country director for the Eve Grace Scholastic Innovation, an organization that gives hope, guidance, and empowerment to underserved children, youth, and families who feel helpless, hopeless, or are homeless in Liberia. He also served as the vice president for the national affairs for the students against corruption. He is also a 2019 nominee for the International Children Peace Prize Award and a 2021 nominee for the Global Students Award among millions of bright and like-minded students across the world. Isaac is a certified kids' rights world action developer, and change maker. And in 2020, he received the Youth Anti-Corruption Medal, presented by the Auditor General of the General Auditing Commission in the Republic of Liberia. He is also a supporter and promoter of the SDGs goal 16 and goal 4, and the African Union agenda against corruption of the Youth Anti-Corruption and Integrity Conference, an annual conference that brings together about the 80 young Liberian leaders to brainstorm on anti-corruption strategies. Isaac is currently heading the interim leadership of the Anti-Corruption and Leadership School of Africa, the first anti-graft online institution founded to provide anti-corruption and leadership training for young professionals in the field of transparency, accountability, integrity, and leadership. Through championing the fight against corruption, Isaac had inspired a lot of young people across the world to get involved in the community development activities, many of whom are national and international youth leaders and change makers. So it's an honor to have someone like that amongst us to speak. To tell us more about what he thinks on the topic that we have today. So Isaac, the floor is yours. Present yourself to the audience, even though I have said a lot of it. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. I think I have to mute it. It's actually a pleasure to be here. And I think I'm much grateful to be here. And I must appreciate the opportunity given me by your institution to talk to a wide range of people across Africa. I think you have already said almost everything. I'm not too sure there's anything that I have to say unlike that again. But it was splendid. I want to say thank you for the introduction. So maybe I can just stress that I'm Isaac Msupu. I'm a young and passionate Liberian and a entrepreneur and a Pan-Africanist. So I'm from Liberia, I'm from Africa. Sometimes when people ask me, I say I'm from everywhere. So I'm studying at the University of Life Adventist of Kigali in Rwanda. And it's actually a pleasure. I think a lot have been said already about me, reaching from the work I do with the Students Against Corruption. I strongly stand up against corruption in Liberia. We initiate anti-corruption programs. We run the Integrity Hour on the state radio. It was aired for 2 years. So we have also thought to initiate a platform where we can include all young people across Africa. That is the Anti-Corruption and Leadership School of Africa that I'm currently heading. So I think that would be much about me. We will keep talking about Isaac. So thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be in Rwanda anyway.
Yeah. Oh, welcome. Definitely. It is a pleasure to have you. And now we have a really interesting topic for us to talk about today. It's called Disciplined African Youth and Achievable Agenda. So the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you. I really have struggled to bring up a topic. You know, normally when I'm going to speak to a public, when I have an invitation to go and talk, most people who know me will definitely say that he's going to talk about corruption. It's corruption again. So it's like sometimes, I mean, not even sometimes, anywhere I go, any opportunity I have to talk, I always talk about corruption. I always talk about the fight against corruption, how we young people can take responsibility, how we can combat corruption. It is our responsibility. So I thought to change it this time, so that people can see that I'm just committed to fighting corruption and living other ills in the society. But I feel that this is what holding us, that is the overall problem that we have in Africa. So I have visited Sarah's website, I've visited your organization website, I've seen that you have done a lot reaching with the Learn for Change, the Reading for Change, and all those programs that you are initiating. And these things have to be put me on the pressure to stay away from anti-corruption messages, to also talk about something that I think young people can be more cognizant of. So tonight, I want to use this time to caution young people, even though almost everything that I will talk, it will also have something to do with corruption. But I think with discipline, we can also achieve in every fight that we want to fight, that we want to achieve. So I have seen that your organization have been working closely towards motivating young African and promoting, empowering young African to unveil their true potential. I think we need more of your organization, more pan-African African organization like yours. So from that backdrop, I have seen that there's a lot of we need to talk about, we need to achieve in Africa. And it will interest you to know that if it just comes to the paperwork, if it comes to the framework in Africa, we have a very beautiful framework. We have beautiful master plans that if we just start working towards, we are going to achieve that. But what I feel within myself is that discipline is lost. So I have thought for us to talk about disciplined African youths, achievable agendas. Disciplined African youths, achievable agenda. This is the rationale. In Africa, we have serious agendas. We have the African Union Agendas 2063 that just in 41 years from now, we are going to be closing down on it. And it is strictly towards promoting a transformative Africa in sustainable developments. And that is a very good agenda. If we follow this agenda, the African Union 2063 agenda, if it gives us a clear picture on how Africa should be, it gives us a clear picture on how we should picture ourselves. Hey, I mean, it's very beautiful to the extent that if it is achieved, we are going to end hunger in Africa. We are going to end poverty in Africa. We are going to end corruption. That is, we are going to win a fight against corruption in Africa, and children are going to be saved. So, but the question is, are we really making progress towards this agenda? Like the Malabo Declaration that is to be finishing by 2025. That Malabo Declaration focuses on the agricultural sector, promoting food security. The question should be, are we making progress? Since we have just 4 years to achieve this Malabo Declaration, have there been any progress to achieve this? And I have followed all these agendas of this framework. I've said to myself that we have beautiful frameworks in Africa. We have beautiful documents that if we are just to follow, we can make a very quick progress. But what I have seen lacking is that discipline. We cannot achieve any of this agenda without the involvement of youth. Without the involvement of young people or the youth of Africa, we cannot achieve any of this agenda. And this agenda will be achieved if we have the total involvement of young people. But how can we have a total involvement of young people when the young people are not self-disciplined? So when I talk about discipline, let me take you back to my country, Liberia. Back when I was a kid coming up, I was taught that discipline was coming from school and focusing on your lesson. That is being disciplined. And it shows on lesson. Discipline, talking about commitment, we are talking about responsibility, we are talking about self-control. Also, discipline on what you want to achieve, your goals. So these are all things that are right. But today, I want us to look at discipline from my own perspective as to be able to lead yourself and to lead other people. To be disciplined is to be able to lead yourself and to lead other people. So how do you lead yourself? How do you lead other people? Is you should be disciplined. And by being disciplined, you have to take responsibility. So in Africa, like I said, I will have to use this platform tonight to caution young people. If we are to achieve what we want, if we are to draft the agendas, if we are to see the Africa that we want, it requires us to be disciplined. What do I mean? I mean, it requires us to be self-control. It requires us to take responsibility of our own. It sometimes beats my imagination to see that a whole big continent, the population or the second largest population in the world, we have to depend on other continents to come and control what exactly they ought to do. It beats my imagination to see a continent that has every necessary resources that it takes to develop its continent, to wait for other people from outside of the continent to come and lead the way. And they are not going to lead the way you want it to be. They are not going to follow exactly what you want to do. They are always going to do based on you. So it beats my imagination to see Africans who are awaiting other people to come and give the direction. When God has given us our own mind, God has given us the natural resources, God has given us everything that it takes to build Africa. But this is what is lacking, because the lack of discipline, we are focused on what we need to be doing on this continent. So if we add discipline, if we start to put more time on how to discipline ourselves, we are definitely going to achieve what we ought to achieve. Let me say this to you very clearly. In every country or in every community, in every country in Africa, there is a youth organization. Today, if you go to Zozi, Monrovia, you go to Kigali, or you go to Johannesburg, you'll see thousands of youth organizations. If you just log on your Facebook page or you log on the internet, you are going to see thousands of youth organizations. If this was the case, that the establishment of youth organizations in every community can definitely drive the change that we want, then by now we have already gone further. But what we miss is organization, thousands and thousands of organizations across are not focusing on what they are established for. A couple of months ago, I spoke with a friend back in not as an organization to help advocates for the rights of children. How is the organization? And he told me, I'm sorry, I'm not ready into it. I see that, I mean, there's nothing clear. I see that the organization will only move forward when we have more funding, we have more support from international organization, we have donors. And I said, so was that the intent that you established the organization to get money from donors to before you can start doing your own activities? I said, no, that was not the intent, but it was just, it's just that we need support. So what I'm trying to portray here is that we young people in Africa can never be the way we want it to be without our involvement. We are over half the population in Africa. If you check the statistics, you see that young people are for that me is strong with a huge number of young people. So if we are to achieve, okay, I see that. If we are to achieve this agenda of young people, and how do we get young people at the youthful population be disciplined? That is why I sometimes sit in retrospect that where are we heading? Where are we heading as continent? So how do we get disciplined? Why is it important that we be disciplined? To be disciplined is to be committed to what you have set as a goal. We have several other agenda, like I said, we have several frameworks, beautiful frameworks in Africa. But are we committed to doing what we have already written on the paper? But are we taking responsibility of exactly what we have written? We say that we want a corrupt-free society or a corrupt-free Africa, but are we committed to championing the fight against corruption as young people? If you look in the community or every country today, because of the lack of discipline, you will see young people being an anti-corruption activists. At the same time, they are anti-corrupt or anti-rape campaigners. At the same time, they are and Africa has several problems reaching from the increase in corruption or corrupt practices to unemployment. We have issues of hunger. We have issues of food security. Yeah, we have issues of electricity that is affecting most African countries. We have issues of unsafe drinking water that is also affecting most rural areas in Africa. We have issue of education. Do not have much quality or equitable education that most young people will want to fly out to go to other African or European or American country for studies. We also have issue of healthcare. So these are a lot of issues that we have on the continent of Africa. So as young people, we are to take each of these issues. I mean, I told one of my colleagues that we are molding the problem that we have in Africa. If you look, we young people, if you look at our population, if you look at our size, it is more than the problem that we have. We do not have more than 15 provinces. We do not have more than 100 provinces. We do not have more than 50 provinces. Even though we have some provinces that we see that other young people are targeting, but with the number of young people that we have on the continent, number of youths, if we all are to get involved, we take responsibility. That is discipline. We take responsibility to draft the change and not wait for people in higher authority only to be the change that we want to see. We are definitely going heading somewhere. As young to this, let me say in my community, if I have a young person there, a youth that will say, oh, since Isaac is in an anti-corruption activist, he is striving to see how best we can eliminate or eradicate corruption on the continent of Africa. And I'm not too sure we are going to be just as passionate about the same thing. So there should be something that will join on. Before change begins, someone should be irritated about a certain problem. You should sit in yourself and say, I cannot tolerate this. This is getting too much, so I need to provide a solution for it. If every young person can just go in their various rooms and ask themselves, what is it on this continent that is really affecting us that I need to provide a solution to it? I mean, let me say this very clearly. We all have a solution in ourselves to Africa's problem. We all have solution. It's just that we are not waiting to take up the courage, to take up charge, to champion the change that we want to see. So we want to relax and wait for other people to come outside, to come from outside and give us that change that we want. No, it won't work. It won't work. We have to take responsibility. So the overall goal is that we all know there is a problem in Africa. And we must appreciate some young people, most young people that are taking up the charge or the courage to work on these problems. But I want to use this platform to caution us that there is still a lot to do. There are 7 different pillars in the Africa 2063 agendas. We young people should start visiting these agendas. So to be disciplined, we should be a reader. To be disciplined, we should be a reader. We have to read. Let me appreciate the program, I mean your organization, for initiating that Read for Change program. You know, because we have failed to read, we have failed to visit our history and read about ourselves. That is why we are at level. Read is more to do. If we read our sacrifices that people have made for us, and those sacrifices are the ones that gave us courage. We who are standing up today, or who are young people in the fight against racism, young people who are on the continent of Africa that is also promoting climate change. They are people that have been inspired. Hey, they did not inspired just by imagination or by miracle. They have gotten inspired by following a set or a particular person that have given them the reasons to follow or to do this thing. Like most often for me, I have benefited of corruption, but I have gotten my inspiration mostly from serious anti-corruption fighters, like Pierre Lumumba from Kenya, who I follow, who gave me the courage that yes, indeed, if we speak against corruption, the society might look at us to be people who hate them, because most of the population of poor people in our society right now are already involved in some kinds of corruption, either by bribery or by other forms of corruption. So they will definitely see us to be some people who are against what they do. But I get the courage from people of such. So, like I said, we have to read as African youths to achieve these agendas. People took terms, they took their services, their energy to put these frameworks together. We have masterclass framework, we have beautiful framework, but these things can be achieved if we start to read. How will you fight to promote the African Union 2063 agenda if you do not read the agenda, if you do not have more information on the agenda? So we need to read. We need to promote a habit of reading in our various schools and various communities. We have to go back to our history. Today, if you want to be inspired, you cannot just sit one day and feel and get an inspiration from heaven. God have given us everything that it takes to change this continent. We have it within. We have to discover, or we have to unveil to try to pull up that potential that we already have. We have to read. You see, the issue about being disciplined sometimes rule of law. Africans, or most African youths, become very law-abiding and respectful when they are in Europe and America. Because if you travel to the United States, they ask that you do not see that on this place, you won't put that there. But most part of Africa, when we are working, we feel free to drop that at anywhere. We feel free to attack our own security personnel at anywhere, at any time. But if we go to other places like European countries in America, we become very law-abiding. That is what we are lacking, and that is what we should promote. We should have self-discipline. If we have self-discipline, we will definitely start to read. And if you start to read, you get inspired. Not only reading anything, you read about African history. People have laid the pillow. We have people in the 1960s and 1950s who have already set the stage. They have already given us what it takes. They went to the extent of dying for this continent. They fought for the freedom and the liberation of this continent. But how do we continue from where they stop if we do not read? We will never know how they have seen Africa to be. You will not know how Kwame Nkrumah have foreseen Africa to be in the next 50 years when you do not follow what he has been doing. But we read American literatures in our schools. So we have to be disciplined. We have to read. We have to be law-abiding, and we have to take responsibility. Taking up responsibility as African youth, it will give us the courage to stay on this continent and create or drive the change that we want to see. If we take up responsibility as youths, we are definitely going to drive the change or see the Africa that we want in the next 10 to 15 years from now. But these things can never be achieved if we are not disciplined. And the reason I kept stressing on discipline is that discipline covers self-control. Discipline has to do with taking responsibility. It has to do with yourself and leading other people. You will not lead other people if you cannot lead yourself. You have to have we have an exact goal that we want to. We have other organizations in Africa, like you mentioned about the Eve Grace Scholastic Innovation that we run in Liberia, that is committed to providing home for the homeless and providing help for helpless and less fortunate children in Liberia. And I'm pretty sure there are similar organizations too in different countries in Africa. The last time I checked, there was almost 500 registered organizations in Liberia. And I'm also sure that there is also several registered organizations in Rwanda and other countries. But we will not see the impact of this organization if the youth who are running these organizations are not disciplined. If I am an anti-corruption activist, I volunteer for the Students Against Corruption. I'm to make the fight against corruption my priority. That is discipline. We cannot have a continent where young people will want to do everything at once. I must appreciate the fact that there are other youth organizations or there are other countries in Africa that are also making progress with certain goals that we have already set for Africa. But if we do not have young people who are focused, who have self-controlled, who are taking responsibility, we are heading nowhere. The reason I keep stressing on young people mostly is that without young people, for me, I believe that without the youths, the agendas that we have or the plans that we have for Africa won't be achieved easily. I understand that we have our own local agenda or local goals in our respective countries, but I have to put more emphasis on the African Union 2063 agenda because it is the overall, it targets all of our parents. In Rwanda, we will have the government of Rwanda will have a set goal or a set plan for each citizen. But that agenda or the plan of the government, the agenda of the government will not be achieved if we do not have the total involvement of young people. It would not be achieved if we do not have the total involvement of young people. And young people can only get involved or achieve this agenda with the help of discipline. There's an African proverb that says, a horse that promotes law, a horse that has disciplinary measures is a horse that always produces the best children in the society. If you go to an African house, there are certain house there or certain home the children do anything they feel of doing. You have the kids go out at night and come back anytime their parents does not care. either of the parent does not care. And you have others whom that you are to be home at 6 p.m. as a child. You are to sit home and study your lesson as a child after school. There are homes in Africa that you have roles or tasks assigned to every kids or every children in that home, including the parents, as a sole responsibility to achieve that. These are whom that always produces the most disciplinary kids and people who are always taking responsibility in the society. But if you have a home, I just want to limit this to our African home. If you have a home where a kid leave the house at any time in which he come home at his will, I mean, they do anything, that is never in accordance with what we see what we see in nearby future. So we need to discourage these acts. For me, discipline is better, is even far better than vision. It's good to fit each other. We tell, hey, we're going to be the best on this earth. That's just motivation. We keep motivating ourselves. But if we do not discipline ourselves, that is, if we do not focus on what we want, we are never going to achieve these agendas or these goals that we have already set for ourselves. I'm not too sure if I have a kid and I want that kid to be the best in his school, and I want him in the next few years to be in university. And if I do not put some measures, disciplinary measures into place in that home for that case to follow, I'm not too sure that can be easily achieved. If the kid do not learn how to control his or herself, that exactly cannot easily be achieved. What I'm trying to say is that we have beautiful documents. We have several continental agendas and national agendas that we have in Africa. But we are unable to achieve these goals, this agenda, if we have the total involvement of young people. If we can not have young people who are disciplined, we are not going to achieve these things. We have the highest number of youthful population, but we need to get these youth, or we youth need to get ourselves involved in what it takes to develop or to drive the change that we want to see in Africa. Today, if you go to Liberia, I standing up for the right thing, not only in Liberia or in most countries in Africa. They are distracted. They are called news because we have now had the young people or a group of youthful population that have understand that we are responsible to take charge, or we are responsible to drive the change that we want. So as a young person, when you start to drive the change, you start to take up responsibility in your community. I understand that sometimes you get called with different names. I personally am a victim of that because we try to promote accountability, transparency in our communities, schools, and country. We are called the corruption men, the corruption in our language. We are called sometimes joking. You do not know what you are fighting. This thing, your parents, your forefather, your great-great-grandfather came and met this problem. They did not fight this problem. They did not win the fight against this problem. So you are not going to win the fight against this problem because you do not have the capacity. And I say to myself sometimes, I say, we are never going to quit with this fight. Even we don't care of how many discouraging words that we receive. But because we have committed ourselves to doing this work, we have already taken the forefront. So we should discipline ourselves. We should know how to resist comments, negative comments that come. Sometimes they are important to motivate us. But if we are not disciplined, we are not going nowhere. This is why you will see most youth organizations start in the next 1 year or 2 years, they get lost from the public. I know about more than 50 youth organizations that have started locally in the community with a very big dream and a very beautiful dream that has the ability or the potential to change the community, but they have suddenly lost in less than a month or in less than a year because of the lack of discipline. So if we are to stick to what we want to do, like I said, there are a lot of dreams. We have people dream. A colleague of mine just launched anti-hunger organization or anti-hunger campaign platform. I said to him, you need to know exactly what you are going to. This is a very big dream. So if you want to listen to everything that comes out there, you are definitely not going to achieve this. You have to stay focused. You have to achieve, you have to push to achieve what you want to achieve. That means you have to control yourself and discipline yourself. So if we have disciplined African youths, we will have definitely an attainable agendas. If we have disciplined African youths, we have Africa with a sustainable development. If we have a disciplined African youth who knows how to control themselves, we will have youthful population in Africa that are going to stay here to learn the African culture, then moving forward to go elsewhere to learn other culture. If we have disciplined African youths that are taking up responsibility as your institution, then we will have more African children who are coming after us being inspired. The founder and president of the I want to be cautioned by his that what did he do? Because it will come a time in Africa, the generation after us or the kids who are growing up will ask us serious question. You were living back then. You were young, rather. What did you do to save our future? Their future depends on us. Their future depends on our action today. Their future is in our hand. That makes us to be that their future is today. Because if their future is in today's people's hand, it means that their future is today. So he always says, if my children ask me, what will I say to them? What will I say to them that, oh yes, there was, will I give excuse that, oh yes, there was a corruption, but international donors did not help us to send us more money for us to fight corruption? No, we have the ability. We are many. We are more than the problem that we have in Africa. We are in number. We have the strength. We have the energy. We have the resources. We have what it takes. We have the intelligence. But if we do not discipline ourselves, we are definitely not going to achieve this agenda. We have to understand that we also have made some progress, also have a lot to be done still. So that we can feel contented. I see that most of us feel contented. We need motivation from outside. We need motivation from different continents. We need people from different continents to come and tell us what we need to do when we have our own, when we are our own motivation. What will it take a young man who want to see a bright, accountable, free, beautiful Africa? What will it take a young man to go in his community and organize a federal police to clean up the community? But because we have lost that discipline, so we will feel that it is not our responsibility. So I want to use this platform to caution every young person that will come across this video. Every person, we have ourselves. So if we are disciplining ourselves, we definitely ability. We will know you are disciplined when we see you taking up responsibility. The way we will know that you are disciplined when we see you committing yourself towards a cost. Identify a problem in your community and find a solution to that problem. It doesn't matter how big that problem or that solution might be, but it matters the impact. The impact matters a lot. If you see that there is an erosion, there's always a rain, just a typical example, there's always a rain flowing in your community that is causing a lot of damages. You have the strength, the time to go and control that erosion. There are people who are disabled. They cannot help themselves. You will never know how well or how best you have helped them. I just caution most every young African to take up responsibility, to self-control ourselves, to discipline ourselves, and identify a problem in our society. For us as the Student Against Corruption, we have seen corruption to be the biggest problem that we face. Hey, you do not have to believe in a fight against corruption. So have a passion for everything that you can work towards. But the thing is, if we are disciplined, we are definitely going to promote a united Africa. We will not have a united Africa if we do not have a disciplined youth. Once we have disciplined youth who understands the problems of Africa, who reads about Africa and know where Africa comes from, if we have a disciplined youth who control themselves, who take responsibility, we will have an Africa of unity. Once we have these characteristics in our young people, we will have a united continent. I want to urge us all who want to see unity in Africa to be self-disciplined. Hey, if you are disciplined, you will be in Rwanda and help a brother in Liberia or Nigeria to achieve his goal because it is in the best interest of Africa. If today you see in every country we have different organizations, we push different agendas, but if we come together to understand ourselves and discipline ourselves and commit ourselves to doing the right thing, we are definitely going to head somewhere. At the Student Against Corruption, we have a saying that says, it is easier to bend a tree while it is still young. This is why I will most often give my time to talk specifically to young people, because it is easier to bend a tree while it is still young. We cannot easily bend an old tree when the tree has grown up. Go and bend it. That is because something have already grown in that tree that makes it strong. So to have a corrupt-free Africa, to have the Africa that we want, we need to start doing the needful at this moment. Not no other time, but today, right now. We need to start taking up responsibility as young people. The number of African youths that we have on the continent of Africa, if each of us can identify a problem and start working to achieve that problem, to fight against that problem, and find solution to that problem, it's never going to take Africa more than 60 years to be where we want it to be. But it will require only disciplined youths. If we have a disciplined youths, we are going to achieve the Africa that we want. And with this, I believe that more young people are going to be inspired and are going to take charge of their own affairs and to have the change that they want, and to now wait for people to come and tell you, hey, you have to do this. We all have potential, and I must appreciate the fact of your institution that is also helping to unveil the true potential of African youth, that is helping to motivate African youths, that is also helping to provide knowledge to African youths. I followed the Congo conference on YouTube. It was really amazing. And you could see that participants of that conference have gotten certain inspiration from a certain speaker, and they speak as to say they are now going to start exactly to do something in their community. And I'm sure you have a great impact stories with them. I also follow the Read for Change. These are all programs. So community, we have programs. It means that we are going to conquer our own problem. We are going to conquer the problems that are confronting us in Africa. I understand that we cannot achieve everything at once, but we can achieve these goals and this agenda gradually. I want to let young people know that there are a lot of things that we need to do, reaching from the quality education we need in this continent. You can help. There are a lot of young people out there that are not very much motivated to take the responsibility or take charge of their own affairs, to go to school. We have people in communities that know couples of young people who feels that education doesn't matter. As a young person who is striving to see the Africa that we all want, it's your responsibility to reach out these messages, to reach out to these young people, to motivate them. I have a campaign in Liberia called Let's Go to School campaign. I believe that if we have more young people in school, we are going to have the Africa that we want. Because how will we have the Africa that we want if we do not have young people learning about the thing that we want to achieve? So I go to communities, I go to provinces in Liberia and motivate young people of the same story as mine, growing up from the northern region of Liberia, where I come from a less privileged family with a single mother who sell donut, a bread, to send me to school. And that story have been something that have been using to inspire more young people across to go to school. Because other people feel that if they have just a single mother or they do not have the necessary support, there's no need for them to go to school. I come from a rural area where, in a community where we do not have more than 50 horses. That is not a city, it's a village. But I have to muster the courage to go to a nearby city to go to school. In that nearby city, I lived there with a sister and a brother. That sister have graduated late in 2012, so she have to go to another city to go to a nursing college. So the question that comes to my mind at that time was, do I go back to the village or do I stay in this city to struggle on my own to see how best I can achieve what I want to achieve? And I said to myself, there's no need of going back to the village. I see that there are a lot of opportunity here. So I have to stay here. So fortunately for me, I saw a school on the social media and listened to the information on the radio that there is a school offering a 5 years free tuitions. You can attend that school 5 years without paying tuitions. So, but then I was in ninth grade, in grade 9. So I calculated my year. I said 9, 10, 11, 12. Oh, that means before the 5 years collapse, I'm going to be out of high school already. So that is a big opportunity for me. So I went to the school. Fortunately, they said the school was going to offer computer knowledge, computer education. So I went to the school at age 11. So that was when my sister left. So in the ninth grade, at age 13, I was there in the school, and I started to attend there until, unfortunately for us, the 5-year tuition announcement that was made was later canceled. So, and the tuition was, and the tuition of the school was increased. So the question was, how do I stay in this school when the tuition have increased? My mother cannot afford to pay the tuition for this school. How do I stay in this school? Do I go back again? I said, no, I cannot go back. So I kept restricting myself. I kept using myself, motivating myself, and controlling myself. At age 13, living by yourself in a city area. In that school, I lived on that school campus. I just want to wrap up my story. In that school, I managed to move on the school campus, because living in a city, is very expensive. You have to pay rent. In Liberia, we do not pay bills. We do not pay current electricity bills or water bills, so we only pay rent. You have to pay rent. You have to feed yourself. You have to put yourself to school. So I said it would be better I moved to the school. When I moved to the school, I going to stay on any work able there, brushing to brush to sweep. My very I was So that's why I had myself focus on I that was
Isaac, sorry, you're on mute.
okay, sorry, okay. So to make this entire story short, in that school that I lived, I was there as a boy on the campus with many other young boys. We were responsible to brush the schoolyard. We were responsible to sweep the classes of our fellow colleagues. We and our friends sit in class. When they go to their home, we go in classes, all of these things because we wanted to achieve something. And in that school was a school that I stayed to become the youngest president. I become a president of the student at 18. So all through my life, I've been an inspiration to my fellow colleagues in that school where we stayed there. We ran a couple of school campus projects, and it was really fascinating to be there. And fortunately for me, after graduation from that school, it was another focus or challenge on how to get to university. So people who I connected to that school were people who saw that there's a need for Isaac to go to school, and these are people that are helping me to go to school and even fly to come to Rwanda to go to school. So in a broad perspective, I always use this story when I go on my Let's Go to School campaign in Liberia. I distribute school supplies to young kids there, but I also tell them my story, living from a village to that city, coming back to that campus where I couldn't afford anything, but I have to stay there and work very hard. In the morning before going to school, I have to brush, I have to all water after school. After school, I have to sweep the class of my fellow colleagues. That was really, really something that I was happy to do because I wanted what I want. I was straight focused on what I wanted. So I must admit, I want to say thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. It has really been a pleasure. I wish we could have more of it. We just have uh, several or maybe 5, 6 hours. We keep talking. Once it comes to talking to my fellow colleagues, I I do not really hesitate. I do not see it to be a problem, but it is actually a pleasure. I want to close by saying, in Africa, we have more problem, but our problem in Africa is not more than we young people in Africa. I know that we have hunger issue. We have the issue of food security in Africa. We have the issue of corruption, rampant increase of corruption everywhere in Africa. I know that we have educational issues, health issues, agriculture issues, electricity, but this problem can only be handled by we youths in Africa because we are the strongest factors. We are the main driving factors or driving force to achieving these agendas. So I want to say thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. It's a pleasure.
Wow, that was definitely insightful. I don't think we give enough credit to the young people of these days since I mean he's also young, but listen to what he just said. You really see that there is those thoughts are really I don't know how I can say it, but I think they are very useful even for someone who would be all grown up and has gone through more ages than him. So it was very nice to have you, Isaac, and a great pleasure to hear you talk about how the youth can change Africa, and it can be a solution for all the problems that we have. And it's really inspiring to see someone as young as you being able to have such an insight on such problems, because most of us these days we usually ignore it and say, the elder ones are going to take care of it. But you're different, and I hope there are more like you all over the world, especially in Africa, so that we may be able to get more solutions done. There was a question in the chat box on YouTube. It says some African youths are somehow asleep and distracted, or others don't even believe Africa can be corruption free. Are you seeing any progress from your organization starting from your country?
Yes, even though we have not reached to where we want to reach, but we have made a serious progress. In Liberia, starting from Liberia, from my organization, we have made serious progress. We have, over the time, recruited and trained and certificated about 1,000 students in certificating them as integrated ambassadors. And these students that we train with the help of the Liberia Anti-Corruption Commission, the United Nations missions in Liberia, we have been able to get them in schools. We have been reporting cases of corruption. So it tells us that because the fight against corruption, people do not easily get to know it, because it's like everybody is in it. The corruption is like already part of our society now. So that's why we are trying to break that change. So for that reason, to easily find a single young person to join you in the fight against corruption, that is a great impact. That is a great help. So I can say for free, we have made a serious progress. We have chapters across 5 different counties, 5 different provinces in Liberia. And these chapters organize anti-corruption programs. So, like I said, we have trained over the years, we have trained about 1,000 anti-corruption ambassadors in the several high schools. So they are trained to report cases of corruption. So we have had cases of corruption in Liberia that we have reported and want to fight against. And hello, are you getting me?
Yeah, I can still get you.
Yeah, I think yeah.
Okay.
I just ran out of current not too long.
I think
so
it's fine.
With that, our annual anti-corruption program that we organize, the Youth Anti-Corruption and Integrity Conference, we bring together young people, not just randomly. We bring about 80 young people from each organization. So that tells you that we bring together 80 organizations, different organizations that are not anti-corruption organizations. So we all brainstorm on idea how to fight corruption in Liberia. And what we do this thing for is that it's our responsibility to stand up against corruption, even if you are not an anti-corruption organization. Like your organization is not an anti-corruption organization, but it is important that you put into place anti-corruption mechanism. Without anti-corruption mechanism, your organization is not going to grow. This is what affecting most African organizations. So what I want to say is that even if you are a climate change organization, or for your organization as Pan-African organization, let's say if the leader start to practice some form of corruption, you are going to have problem, right? You are going to have problem. The members are going to have problem. So we train our organization leaders how to deal with cases of corruption in their own organization. This make our work very easier. It makes, because these organizations are the ones that are championing the fight, that are doing other activities in their country, in their communities. So to succeed, we tell you to succeed with your goal. If you want to succeed with this, you have to be careful. You have to put into place anti-corruption mechanism that will help you and your organization members to be in a very good term. Put into place a good reporting system that will help your organization. Once you report well and effectively, it's going to make your members to have trust in you. Put into play good information system, information dissemination is going to help you. So these are progress that we have been making. So we are ahead. We have been having a lot, and we have also fought towards anti-corruption cases. We are won some cases in Liberia against corruption.
Wow, that's amazing. That's great to hear. So I think we can wrap this up, since I see that there are no more questions. And I think we have run out of time as well. So I want to thank you, Isaac, for taking your time and talking to us. And I hope that everyone in the audience, for the ones who are watching it right now and for the ones who will watch it later on, that they will be able to get something out of this, and that they will be also inspired to join your cause to fight against corruption, but as well as to adopt a disciplined manner so that they can be able to achieve their goals. So is there anything else you would like to add on before we say goodbye?
Yeah, so just shortly, I think I've ran out of electricity. Okay, so just shortly, I want to say thank you to you, and I want to encourage every young people to take up identify a certain problem in your community and find means to find solution to it. If you are not getting a right solution to that problem, in fact, other young people, people sit and brainstorm on ideas to find solution to that problem. We can only achieve the Africa that we want if we all collaborate. Collaboration is also important. But these things all bow down to discipline. Even me, the fight against corruption, I believe that even if I'm to succeed in this fight that I'm in, I have to be disciplined. We have to be disciplined as young people. That is the only way we can achieve our respective goals as young people. But remember, the fight against corruption is also our responsibility as young people. Corruption is eating us up. Corruption has caused us more harm than doing good to us. Corruption has made us to be at this stage. Corruption have given us a society where we do not understand anything again. Corruption have been the major factor for the underdevelopment of Africa. So you can also join the fight against corruption. You do not have to definitely join the student against corruption, but you can initiate anti-corruption programs in your community, or you can put into play anti-corruption programs within your school, or not only your school, your organization, because we think this is not just students against corruption business. Thank you very much.
Wow, that was great. So thank you once again, and thank you to everyone who has joined us through this insight. And let's hope that we will have more time to discuss and hopefully resume the physical events so that we can be able to share even more. So thank you, everyone. Have a good evening.